everyone, welcome to tonight's chicken souvlaki and Spanakorizo live stream. My name's Carrie. I'm City Market's Assistant Outreach and Education Manager. I'm the one who's been sending you all of the emails, so now you can put half of a face to a name for those. This is the only time you'll see me on screen with my little intro here, and then I'm going to be behind the scenes. If at any point during the live stream tonight you have questions, you can type those into the question and answer box. I'll go back and put a little announcement in that so you can see where that is. And I will be able to see those and feed them to our instructor as they come through. We're aiming for about an hour of active cook time today, which leaves us plenty of time for questions, anything about this recipe, cooking in general. Chef Jason is a wealth of knowledge, so please feel free to ask him any questions that you have around cooking and food. I will send a survey out tomorrow. Would love to know your thoughts on the class, ideas for other classes that you might like to see. It's also really exciting to announce that we're actually heading back to doing in-person, outdoor, distance, safe programming in June. A lot of our classes have already sold out, but you can check out our website at citymarket.co/calendar. So tons of great options and looking forward to doing more of those over the summer. But I think without further ado, I'll turn things over to Chef Jason and he'll talk you through the recipe and get started. And again, if you have questions at any time, go ahead and type them into the question and answer box. Also, if you're joining us a little bit late, you can always hit live. It's down near the play pause button, and that will catch you up to where we are rather than making you start at the very beginning. So thanks so much. Chef Jason, take it away.
Thanks, Carrie. Hi, I'm Chef Jason. Thanks for joining us tonight. Done a few of these classes, and tonight we're going to be doing, as Carrie said, we're going to be doing chicken souvlaki and Spanakorizo, and we'll be serving that with a tzatziki sauce and some, we're going to serve the chicken on pita with a few veggies to go along with it. I'm a local chef in the area, local private chef. I also run the butcher shop and the deli at a local market around town. So without further ado, I guess we're just going to jump right into the recipe. A couple things I always like to talk about and tell people before we start a recipe is, you know, to read through the whole recipe, just so you know what you're jumping into. The worst thing you get down a recipe, you figure out you don't have one ingredient, or something should have been sliced this way instead of that way. Or maybe there's a different order that you would have done it in because it makes more sense for your kitchen, your functionality, or just the recipe in general. So yeah, I just always like to read through it, make sure that we have all the ingredients, make sure, again, we know what we're getting into, what equipment we want to have, and that leads us to our next thing, which is called mise en place. And so mise en place is a French term that basically means everything in its place, and that's what you want to do when it comes to cooking. Is make sure you're all set up, you have all of your ingredients ready to go so that you're not scrambling around the kitchen and everything kind of just goes and flows the way that you'd like to with the recipe. And following the recipe, following the technique, following the ingredients the way that it says, building the layers, building the flavors, because you know, you could give the same recipe to a few different people and you're going to get 3 different dishes just because of the way that they layered flavors or didn't do this technique the way it said. So that's a little spiel about before we jump in, and that's kind of where we're going to start. So we're going to start first with the chicken because we want to get that in the marinade. The chicken you can marinate. You could do this a few hours before. The lemon juice it's going to start cooking the chicken a little bit and tenderizing it to get all the other flavors into the chicken. So we want to have this marinating for at least a half an hour for that to really pick up some of these flavors. You can do it up to 3-4 hours. So that's where we're going to start. So for that, we're going to take some garlic. We're doing 2 cloves of garlic minced. So 2 cloves here. I like to take the little root end off of the garlic, and that helps peel the rest of it. You could also take and smash it down a little bit, and that will also release the garlic peel pretty easily. So let me get rid of that stuff. Start a little compost bowl a lot of times, unless, you know, at my house I have a little compost bucket on top of the counter, but if you're working like this, start a little bowl and you can dispose of it after. You're not running back and forth or having a messy cutting board. So we're just going to mince up this garlic. Got a piece of skin there still. So I'm just running my knife through. And then I'm gonna put my hand on top of the knife and kind of rock back and forth like this.
Someone asked if you can marinate chicken overnight.
You can, it might pick up a little too much lemony flavor because again, that lemon juice is kind of cooking that chicken. So it's just, it would be fine. It's gonna be really, you're gonna have a lot of the flavors get in there, so. And actually you'll see if you left it in overnight, the chicken will actually start to turn white because that lemon juice and the acid in the lemon is actually gonna start cooking the chicken. All right, so we got our garlic mixed up. Go ahead and put that in our bowl. Next we have a tablespoon of dried oregano. The dried oregano right here. Go ahead and throw that guy in there. Teaspoon of salt. Lemon, 1 lemon juice. So for lemon, I like to roll this around a little bit, release some of the juice. Take something like this or a strainer, and we're gonna squeeze it through that. I like to get a fork actually. Take the fork.
I can get the little strainer out of the closet, yeah.
Right over here, right?
This one.
So I'm gonna grab a strainer. It's gonna be easier for me to put it across the bowl. I'm gonna put this across just to catch any seeds. So take a fork. I'm gonna take this fork and twist it inside the lemon. Really releases all this juice. So I'm picking up all that lemon juice. You don't need a juicer for this. Just gonna take this and twist it around in there, and that's gonna get all your lemon juice out. It's the same thing, twisting it. Not that big a video because we're not gonna cook the lemon seeds, but try to keep them out of there just in case. And then we're gonna put a 1/4 cup of olive oil. I'm just gonna eyeball that. All right. We're gonna take and mix this up. Set that to the side for a second. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my chicken on a different cutting board so I don't get this all chickeny. Have that set up right here. The whole other cutting board, put on some gloves. We're using Misty Old Chicken, which is a local chicken farm around here. No hormones, no antibiotics, free range, really nice chicken. All you want to do with this guy is you're going to cube him up into bite-sized pieces. So just literally, I'll do strips. Sometimes in here in the breast, there is a little bit of this tendon and connective tissue. If you want to take some of that out, feel free. I do sometimes, especially if it's really big and tough. So we're just going to start with some bite-sized pieces, and we're going to add this to the marinade and get this going. I love this dish. It's one of my favorites. The flavors are so good on the pita with the tzatziki. You get the fresh lemon with the cool, the cucumber and the fat from there. It's just a really nice combination of flavors. All those Greek dishes like gyros and shawarmas and on all those types of pita dishes, and it's really nice. But this one's a little healthier. It's the chicken, not the lamb or the beef. So, and it's a great summer flavors.
It's a great one as it starts turning into grilling season too, because you gave us that other option for grilling it.
Yeah, I mean, you can skewer this, basically take this and skewer these after, and you can grill them, you know, right up and slide them right onto your pita. But we're gonna do it in the oven today, and all we're gonna do is cook it in a really hot oven to add some of that char and kind of mimic that grill. So again, we're just gonna toss this together, and we're gonna set it aside. I'm not gonna put it in the fridge. If you were gonna let it sit out or let it marinate for a few hours, I would go ahead and put it in the fridge. But since this is only gonna be about a half an hour, it's totally fine and food safe to leave out on the counter. And by being more at room temperature, it's gonna pick up a little more of the flavors. Being summer, being time of year, I will cover it just in case a fly is, you know, flying around or anything like that. So, I'm gonna take a piece of plastic wrap, throw it over this bowl, and we're gonna set it to the side to marinate. All right. Any questions so far? Any?
None. Oh, someone just came in.
Okay.
Can you make this recipe with pork or mutton or goat? And I think there would be a time difference in the oven temperature and time-wise. Please advise.
Well, yeah, I mean, mutton or goat, the meat's going to be tougher. So the marinade, you want to marinate that longer. You want to let the lemon juice work on that type of meat for a little bit a longer time. So, you know, maybe overnight or 8 hours or, you know, 5 to 8 hours, something like that. As far as the cooking, depending, you know, mutton or what was the other thing?
Pork.
Pork, you probably want to make sure, depending on what cut you're using, you want to make sure you cook that to a certain temp, maybe 145 at least. When it comes to the lamb or the mutton, you know, you may want to eat that a little more rare. So that's going to depend on how you like it. Like I like my mutton or lamb medium rare, medium. So yeah.
That's the only one so far.
All right. All right, well that is marinating. We're going to go ahead and start our rice. So first we need to chop up our onions. We have one onion, we're going to chop that. And just little knife skills here. I usually take the bottom off and just a little bit of this root end off. I split the onion right down the middle of that root end. Split that in half, and then I take off like a layer or two of skin, depending on how fibrous it is. If I'm eating it raw, I might take it down a little more because it's going to be more fibrous when you're eating it raw. If you're cooking it, you probably can leave a little bit more on because it's going to cook down. So, taking those off. I'm going to split it down this way, lengthwise, 2 times or so, 2 or 3 times, depending on the size. That one I'll do 2, this one I'll do 3. We're going to do a smaller chop or a smaller dice on this. This is going to go into the rice.
Another question for you. Someone asked, what about chicken thighs rather than boneless?
Sure, yeah. If you like thighs, you can do that. Generally with this one, the breast it's a little more, it's a little firmer, so it stands up to the marinade a little better. It eats better maybe on the pita. I like thighs a lot. I usually cook thighs. This dish I usually use breast. So like last night I had thighs. So we're gonna come down this way. And then back across that way, and that's gonna give us our nice dice that we'd like. See? All right, so that's our onion chopped up. Then we need 3 cloves of garlic minced. We just did that with some garlic for the other thing. Lots of garlic in this recipe. We got garlic in our chicken, garlic in our tzatziki, garlic in our rice.
Yay!
So Carrie's cheering over there.
All the garlic.
All the garlic. Same thing, I'm gonna take the root end off of that. Smash these guys down a little bit. Oh, shot away on me. Pop the husk off of these guys. That's what happens when you don't hit it squarely. All right. Same thing, I'm gonna run my knife down through these guys. And then to mince them, I'm gonna bring my hand to the top of the knife and just work it side to side, back and forth on the garlic until it's nice and minced.
Says, just a comment, I really appreciate how techniques are being shared for chopping and staying organized.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel like I'll learn something with your classes.
Staying organized is really important, you know, just kind of cleaning as you go, keeping things organized, keeping track of where you are. It just makes it a lot easier when you're cooking. And that way you're also keeping track of the timing of everything, trying to make sure everything times out at the right time so everything's ready to eat together. All right, so we got our garlic. Then we're gonna take chives. We have some nice chives here, some local chives. I only need about 2 tablespoons of this, so again, we're gonna eyeball that. So again, I'm just gonna run my knife through and thinly slice these. Sorry, we need 4 tablespoons, though. And eyeball 4. That's a 1/4 cup. So. About right. All right, so you got a 1/4 cup of chives. And then we're gonna need 2 tablespoons of dill, also chopped. Just pick some of this dill off the stems. About right. Right. Okay. We're gonna make the rice, and we have a large pot here, so we're gonna just turn this on high, or medium high. We're gonna take our olive oil, 3 tablespoons. That's about 3 tablespoons. And we're gonna put our onion in here until it sautés up nicely and gets translucent. And then we're gonna add some of these, we're gonna add the garlic, the dill, the chives, saute that for a minute or 2. Then we're gonna add our spinach, which I have over here. We have a 1/2 pound of baby spinach that's all ready to go. Washed and ready to go. And we're gonna put that in till it wilts down. Then we're gonna add the rice and the stock, stir it together, and then bring it to a boil, cover it, and then we're gonna cook that. And then once that's cooking, we're gonna work on our tzatziki. We're gonna put our chicken in the oven and work on our tzatziki.
I would also also love to know if people are comfortable sharing where they're watching from. We've learned that our virtual classes are reaching a much further audience than just little old Burlington, Vermont. So if you want to put that into the question and answer box, and also if anybody's cooking along, we always build these as demos, but if you want to let us know if you're cooking along with Chef Jason, please let me know in the chat.
While I'm doing that, I'm going to just get a little sheet pan and prep it for the chicken. I have one. So all I'm going to do for the chicken, I'm going to take the sheet pan, half pan, and I'm going to put some foil on it and just get that ready for the chicken to go in the oven. And then we'll do that while our oil is getting hot for the rice.
Yeah, I love that little hot plate for these cooking demos, but it takes a little bit to get warm.
And we can tell by that, just put like 1 or 2 pieces of veggie in there. And then when that starts to saute, then you can add the rest. And that way, kind of know when your oil's ready to go.
Got California, Idaho, Burlington,
Oh, cool.
North Carolina so far. So
Idaho,
yes.
I don't know if we had Idaho before.
Lexington, Kentucky. There we go. Yeah, it's always great to have these classes and feel like a community when in reality we're reaching such a wide audience, which is great. And everybody's just kind of hanging out in the kitchen with us.
All right, we're getting there. All right, need it for later. You know, and if you want, while this chicken is marinating, you can always go over, give it a toss, give it a stir, kind of activate everything. Make sure everything's covered and everything is touching the chicken. Chicken's picking up all those flavors.
Colleen and Shannon are cooking along right here in Burlington.
Oh, nice.
South Union, great.
There's a little mistake on this recipe I'm realizing. It's not a big deal. We want a little extra dill for later for garnishing. The 2 tablespoons is going in, and then at the end of the recipe, it does say add the remaining dill. So it should really be like 3 or 4 tablespoons. So my mistake, but save a little dill for garnishing after. And if you don't have the dill to garnish, not the end of the world. All right, so now I'm starting to hear some sizzling here on my onion. Give it another minute or 2, then I'll add the rest. All right.
We got more California, a couple more people from California.
Yeah, we've got a good amount of California watching us.
Yeah. Pennsylvania, Missouri, and Iceland. That's the first.
Wow.
Welcome.
Hey, Iceland.
Illinois. And someone asked, is the tin foil just for easy cleanup?
Yeah. Yes.
Sweet.
Basically, not gonna take away from anything. You'll get the same char on it. If you use parchment paper or something, you may not get the char, but putting it directly on the sheet pan would probably be even better for the color. If you don't really mind about scrubbing your sheet pans.
Toronto, welcome.
Toronto?
Yep.
Nice. I don't think we've had Idaho before, and I don't think we've had, definitely not Iceland.
We got to get one of those little scratch off mats and just get
Right. We have it back here, wherever we watch from.
little pin.
That's it.
Well, welcome everybody. Like I said, it's really exciting that we're planning such
Yeah, thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate it, especially from where all the places that you guys are. It's awesome. All right, so we're just cooking this until it gets translucent. So on the recipe, I have, no time limit on that. Just a matter of watching it. And you just want to soften the onion a little bit. You don't want crunchy onions in your rice, basically.
Here's another fun one, Russia.
How much?
And they're Russia.
Oh, wow.
And they're cooking along.
Cool. That's awesome. We're worldwide here. Worldwide. Okay. Here, if you want to stir them, you don't want to put a lot of color on the onion, so you don't want to brown them. You don't want them to like start charring and getting brown bits on here. You just want to cook them till they're translucent. So when you have your heat kind of high and you don't want to put color on, you want to keep them moving around so they're not going to sit and start really browning. So just keep them moving. If you feel like your heat's too high, you have this guy here, you can turn it up or down. And yeah, you just want to watch them. But we're getting there. So we're getting close. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yep.
Kind of taking the white out of it, or they're getting translucent basically. So we're almost there. One thing people don't do too is like, I see this a lot, people just panic and stir, you can take things off of the heat, slide it to a different burner that's not on, let it cool down, and then bring it back to the heat. You can turn the knob down, obviously. Just a lot of people panic. So, finally they're getting too hot to it, just take it off, put it to another burner, let it cool down, move them around, it'll stop, and then you can put it back on. All right, now we're gonna add the garlic. Add our chives, half of our chives. And 2 tablespoons of dill, so basically all of this dill. Put that in. And we're gonna saute just for a minute or two, just so it gets fragrant and really start to smell the garlic. And then once that happens, we're gonna add, we're gonna add the spinach after that. So we just want this, want the garlic to get nice and fragrant, and start releasing some of its flavor. Again, with the garlic, you definitely don't want to burn that. Garlic, when you burn it, will become bitter. So that's almost ready. Starting to smell the garlic even through the mass. We're going to start adding some of the spinach. So you want to add it a little bit at a time, just so it can wilt down. Once it starts to wilt, you can add like half of it, wilt it down a little bit. It's going to shrink tremendously. And then we can start adding the rest of this. And really get that nice and wilted down. And once that happens, we're going to add the rice and some salt and pepper. Go ahead and add the salt and pepper now. So the salt and pepper is just to taste, but yeah, just salt and pepper to taste. A little bit of salt, maybe like a half a teaspoon or something, and a little bit of pepper. You can always add more later. It's easier to add it than it is to take it out.
It smells so good in here already. I wish people could smell this.
Excuse me. So we're going to wilt this down. That's getting pretty well wilted down. As you can see, it's almost gone, wilted. So once that happens, we're going to go ahead and add our rice. So we're going to add 2 cups of rice. Excuse me, 1 cup of rice and 2 cups of stock. So we got some basmati rice. We'll go ahead and add that. Stir that in. And then a lot of stock, 2 cups of stock. And you can use vegetable stock if you don't want to use chicken stock. Then we're going to bring this to a boil. Then we're going to reduce it and simmer it for 20 minutes. It's a little longer than normal rice, but that's because you have all this other stuff in there. The spinach, the water from that, so you really want to cook it down. Okay. All right, I'm just going to wipe this up a little bit before we start on our tzatziki, and then we're going to get our chicken in the oven. All right. Any other questions so far?
No other questions so far. We just had somebody asking about the overnight marinating again, so I gave them your answer of it'll still work. It just might start to cook a little bit.
Yeah.
Very lemony. Another person from California. That's hi.
Hello. Put a 20-minute timer on this.
Absolutely.
All right. Now we're going to go ahead and get our chicken in the oven. So cooking the chicken, yeah, we're going to put it on the pan. We're just going to cook it for 10 or 15 minutes and just make sure it's cooked through. So I'm going to grab that, the glove. Okay. Chicken's back in the house. Got our pan right over here. So now we're looking here. Turn this down a little bit now. Okay. We'll just toss this around, make sure we get all that nice marinade all over the chicken. And just lay it out on a sheet pan. Spread it out a little bit. You don't want to clump together because, again, we're trying to develop a little bit of char on this. If the chicken's right next to the other chicken, you're going to steam them a little bit. They're going to pick up the water from each other. So separate them a little bit, and then you'll get a better, they'll dry out a little more and char a bit. And it's a balance because you're trying to char them a little without drying them out too much. And that's why you're going to leave them a little bit bigger and thicker. And that's why you want to finish them under the broiler and not do it the whole time. So you want to cook them through a little bit, and then we'll finish them under the broiler.
We had someone ask if you serve this dish in your restaurant.
I have, yeah.
Heading over to the oven to drop that in. I'll be right back.
So popping that in the oven. I've served it for a lot of private chef gigs. So see, this is a little hot, so what I'm gonna do is pull that off, let it cool down to this burner, you know, is more of like an electric burner, so it's not gas that immediately pulls down. So we're gonna pull it off, then put it back down and kind of rebalance that heat.
And Sarah asked if you have thoughts on wooden spoons versus silicone. She prefers wooden, but wants to know your thoughts.
I prefer wooden spoons. I like wooden spoons. I don't really have a preference one way or the other for any strong opinion one way or the other. Just more of a preference. You know, I don't find functionality of either one much different personally.
Great. Someone asked what kind of gloves you're using. These are just food service grade nitrile gloves that we have here.
Nitrile, latex, powder-free, latex-free gloves.
Yep.
Yeah, just food service grade gloves.
And someone else asked, any ideas on the change in cooking time if you're going to use a brown basmati instead of a white?
It's going to take longer. I would say probably at least another 10 or 15 minutes. Generally, you're going to cook white rice for 15 minutes where you cook brown rice like 30, 35 minutes. So I'd say it's probably going to be about a similar difference.
And lastly, someone says, can you tell me about the large pan you're using? I've seen several people use this and I'm thinking I should get one.
This is just I think this is probably an 8-quart, just a stock, 8-quart saucepan or saute, not saute pan, like saucepan or stock pan. Yeah. I'm guessing that's 8 quarts.
Yeah, this is actually one that we bought kind of recently because we went from cooking for, 16 to 20 people to just doing individual servings. So we bought a slightly smaller pot to use.
This is a Vanco. That's a food service, more of a food service brand. You probably can go on Webstaurant and find that exact one, I would imagine.
Someone asked, where is your restaurant? Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Well, I run a deli and butcher shop. It's in Essex, Vermont. It's called the Sweet Clover Market. It's a natural foods market. So you do a lot of deli prepared foods. You do hot and ready to go dinners a couple nights a week. And then a full service butcher shop, custom butcher shop. So that's what I do day to day. But I have a private chef thing on the side. So I go to people's houses for events and stuff and cook dinners like 60th birthdays, anniversaries, bachelorette parties, that type of stuff. So I've done more of this stuff for private gigs, this specific dish.
Great. That's all the questions for now.
Cool. All right, while that's cooking, we're going to work on our tzatziki. I just got to grab another bowl real quick because I used that. All right, tzatziki. I'm going to start with a little bit of Greek yogurt. You're not really supposed to open as much, but this is a hot burner, so I just want to make sure it's getting low enough to cook the rice. It's a really hot burner. All right. We've got some nice Greek yogurt. We're using local yogurt from Green Mountain Creamery. It's a local dairy producer around here, mostly yogurt. All right, so we're going to go ahead. I make tzatziki a lot. I make gyros at home quite a bit. And unfortunately, I don't make the gyro meat all the time. Sometimes I buy the pre-made gyro meat, just heat up the strips, and then I make the tzatziki and do all the other stuff, cut up veggies and do that. It's a nice, quick, easy meal. Or we do this too. This is a quick, nice, easy weeknight meal, with the tzatziki on the pita. You can put it on other things in wraps or on bread, make sandwiches, put it on a salad. So lots of ways you can serve this. So for this one, I'm gonna do more garlic.
Yay!
Not quite as much garlic. For this one though, I actually like to shred the garlic. So I just take like a little microplaner, or you can use a box grater, like if you wanted to use, well, this one doesn't have a smaller one, but some of them have this and then the smaller one on that side. If you wanted to do that, but I just take it and run it down to about half of it. Because what I want to do with this is really release a lot of the garlic oil and a lot of the garlic juice into the sauce, and this is what I find does that the best. And I just run my knife through it, and it's really minced. If you want, you could also just kind of smash it against the board and almost make a paste. Scrape that up and slide that in. It's going to give you some nice garlic flavor right there. And then a little bit of salt. Half a teaspoon or so. Take it about a quarter or so of an English cucumber. Just take this end off. So I'm going to peel it. You can take a peeler if you want, or I mean, you could also just peel it with your knife, like this.
Ooh, fancy.
Depending on But it's fine to be quicker sometimes, you know what I mean? So let's run my knife down and that's done, that's peeled. So then I just, you can take a spoon and scoop this out, the seeds in the middle if you want. Or I find this works just as well too, to split it down the middle and just go almost like a V and just slide that out. So that's basically all your seeds right there. The English cucumbers also, you can, run your finger and take the rest out. But the reason we use them is because they don't have as much water and they don't have as many seeds in them. So these guys will take the same shredder, microplane, and we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to shred these guys. All right, then like I said, we'll take that. If you look at the recipe and you want to squeeze the excess water out of here, so there's a lot.
Someone asked if sour cream would work as a substitute for Greek yogurt.
Yeah, I do it sometimes. If I don't have it, do sour cream. It's fine. But since this is a Greek dish, and we're trying to be authentic here, we're using Greek yogurt. No, but traditionally use Greek yogurt for tzatziki. But yeah, that sour cream is going to be fine. It's got the same flavor basically. If you find that it's too thick, you can add a little cream to it, a little milk or something to thin it out, and that's going to be fine. All right, so that's done. There's our tzatziki. So we'll set this to the side. All right, well that's going. We'll wipe this up and we'll go check on our chicken. See if I need to give it a flip around or anything like that. Be right back.
So yeah, while Chef Jason's checking on the chicken, a lot of people have been commenting that they're a little bit sad to possibly see the virtual classes go. So if you have thoughts on that, please do email them to me. Everybody has my emails from all of these class emails. I'd love to know your thoughts. We're still trying to sort of decide what the summer will look like and whether people would be even interested in tuning in when it's so nice and beautiful outside. So let me know in an email.
All right. Our chicken's getting really close. Our rice is still cooking here. Turn this back up a little bit. That is stir. Seems like we're getting close there too. Where are we at on the rice timer?
8 minutes and 46 seconds left.
We're getting there. All right. We might not need all that time. That's the other thing. You want to check it, and we're going to test it. But it's getting close. So, if you find that your rice is getting soft or too much, you just check it and stop it. But 20 minutes should do it.
With the person that's doing the brown basmati, would you have to add more liquid too? Like up the chicken stock? Or
no, you shouldn't have to. It's usually the same ratio of the water. I mean, again, if it starts to get really dry and the rice isn't quite there, add a little more liquid to it and keep it going. Well, that's going. We're gonna finish the rice. Get ready for the rice to be finished. We just needed a little more dill for garnishing, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull that off. We also need some lemon zest. So we're going to take a zester, and we'll get all the zest off of this lemon here. Careful, you don't want to go too far down on your zest. If you get into the white, which is the pith, it's really bitter. So you just want to get the yellow of the rind and try to stay away from that pith. It's pithy. All right. We're trying to get about a half tablespoon here.
Debbie would like to know if there's something that you could substitute for the cucumber, maybe squash.
Never heard of that one. This is the flavor of the cucumber is pretty traditional in the tzatziki. You can leave it out if you wanted, and you're gonna get the nice garlicky flavors, but I don't know of anything that really you could substitute for cucumber. I'm trying to think. I mean, you could try squash, but it's just, it's not, you don't usually eat squash raw. You cook that a lot of times. I don't know how texturally that's gonna be in there. You can try it. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah, like I feel like zucchini is gonna give you that texture, but not the flavor, because zucchini doesn't taste like anything, really.
Correct.
What about?
So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that heat off, actually, and I'm gonna give it a test. The rice to make sure. Right. Okay. So we're gonna cut that. It needs maybe another minute or two. So that's about 17 minutes as opposed to 20 minutes. So a little bit shorter, yeah?
Yeah, I've got about 5 minutes left, so
cool.
Yeah.
So we'll just get this ready because we're gonna do the juice of a lemon again for the finishing the rice. We'll get this ready and we'll just juice it right into the rice. Okay, and the last thing we're gonna do, we're gonna check this chicken one more time, pull that out, and we're gonna chop up a couple things to garnish. Be right back.
Couple more questions coming in for you, but I'll wait till you're back in front of the mic.
Oh yeah, so I just wanted to check that. We're almost done on the chicken. I want to get a little more color on it. If you find your chicken's not coloring up enough, what you can do also is if you find there's a lot of liquid on the pan, you can drain a little bit of liquid off, and that'll help char and take away some of the liquid, so it's not steaming the chicken and you're actually adding char. Yeah.
Levine asked, how about white pumpkin grated instead of cucumber? I've never heard of white pumpkin.
Again, it's a texture thing. So it's going to be a lot, it's mealy, the texture is going to be weird because cucumber has a lot of water in there. And the squash doesn't have quite as much. It does have some water, but squash before you cook it is mealy. That's the best description I can think of for it. Especially like pumpkin, like white pumpkin or kombucha squashes or that family stuff. It's like, yeah, you got to cook that stuff down. And even when you cook it, sometimes it's kind of, yeah.
You can try it and let us know.
You can always try it. It's not going to hurt you. And you can let us know what you think. Who knows? You might be onto something.
And then someone asked, how do you know when your rice is fully cooked? What are you looking for?
Well, you want it fluffed up. I'll show you because this is done now.
Done.
So I'm gonna grab a fresh fork, so I'll put when I taste it off of in there. So see how it's cooked? The grains are separated like this. It's fluffy. It's not gloopy where it's sticking together. Not stuck to the bottom. And the telltale obviously is to taste it and make sure it's not too al dente. That's the other thing, So that's how you know. Generally, with any rice, you want a nice separation of the grains where you can see each individual grain. It's nice and fluffy. It's not clumping together. Doesn't look wet or mushy. It doesn't look too dry. Sometimes it can look like it's cooked, but it's still al dente, so that's where you want to taste it. But you can really tell if it goes too far because it's clumpy, it's mushy, and it kind of sticks together. So, all right. Use this little corner bound down here of the board to finish up this chopping. plate here. So we'll take some of this feta, about half of this block.
And I will put a plug in. This is Sweet Rowan feta. It's a local one, and if you're local to City Market and can have it, it is some of the best feta I have ever had. Like, I'm not trying to just like sell it, but I love feta cheese, and I tried this one, and I was like, I'm never buying another feta cheese ever again.
It's very good. They make great milk. They have like cream top milks that are really good at that farm. They make good yogurt. It's nice. So we're gonna add some feta to our board over there. And we're gonna take a little more feta because we're gonna need it to garnish our rice. We'll just put that with our rice garnish there. Okay. Got some romaine lettuce here and Roma tomato. You can use whatever tomato you like. Right now, we don't have a lot of fresh homegrown tomatoes in Vermont, so we're going with Roma.
Talia and Shannon say, you better believe it. You guys are so funny.
Very funny. All right. So for this, it's already been washed, but I still like to take the very end off, especially because you see a little bit of discoloration, not the major. And I like to shred this really thin. That's how I like to eat this on these sandwiches, personally. So take that, shred that. I'm going to step to the oven at the same time. I can get a lot of char in this oven, but that's okay. You don't have a broiler, right?
No, I think it's
It's fine. It's fine. All right, this oven doesn't have a broiler, so we're not gonna get a lot of char, but it's all cooked through. It's got some nice brown color on it, so we'll get there in a second. All right, so there's our little romaine. You can also serve this with a little onion if you want. Put some onion on your sandwich. I'm a fan of that. I do like little half moons on the tomatoes. Lay these guys out there. Okay. All right, now we're gonna finish our rice. So to finish our rice, we're gonna uncover this. We're gonna take 3 tablespoons of butter.
Someone commented that Dave Chapman Vermont tomatoes are amazing, available now in the bright yellow pint. Yes, we do have the baby tomatoes
That's
downstairs.
true.
That's true, the Vermont ones.
But this is more of a sandwich tomato
Yeah.
type of thing. All right, so we're gonna stir in the butter. And we're gonna add, we'll melt that down a little bit.
I mean, it's Sweet Rowan or Sweet Rowan, R-O-W-E-N, Sweet Rowan.
Add the lemon zest goes in, lemon juice. Stir that around. The rest of our chives and dill all go in. To serve this, take a bowl, put the rice out into a bowl or whatever serving dish you're using for your rice. And take your feta and just kind of crumble it on top as like a garnish.
Yum.
And that's your Spanakorizo, that's done. Put this to the side. Now we'll just plate everything up. Show you how that works. I'm just going to clean a little area here so we can do that.
I don't think it's available everywhere in the U.S. It's a very local farmstead.
Sweet Rowan, yeah, I don't
yeah.
think so.
I think they're pretty hyper local, but I'm sure there's other great farms with other great bettas and other cheeses available. But yeah, I believe it's a hyper local Vermont option for us.
Well, I'm gonna grab the chicken. If you want, I just got some nice wheat pita breads here. I'm gonna throw these just in the oven, the same oven I had the chicken in for like a minute while we plate the chicken. All right, those are in there.
Every time I watch one of your cooking classes and do this with you, I think I should cook more like you and clean up as I go. I just cook and I don't do it, so I should just learn.
It helps.
And honestly, it looks so much more smooth.
All right.
I make a huge mess.